Hello everybody, my name is Lat Mackey, and this is Sequence Break, episode 23. I don't have a clever title for this one. I was thinking about calling it How to Not Get Divorced While Speedrunning, but I'm not sure if that's the best title. This is my wife, Angela. Do you want a clever screen name for gaming and stuff like that? No, not at all. Okay. If you were to have a clever screen name, could you think of one?
No.
No, not at all. Okay. Well then, so this is Angela. She's my wife, and right now we're getting towards the end of April, and it's like, well, what month is this? But we've been in quarantine for like a long time, for like I think like the rest of the world is right now, and so. Perfect time to have my first in-person guest. You're the first person I've actually talked to live and in person.
Live and in person. That's because I'm the only person that can come in here right now.
Yes, legally, this is all we're allowed to do. So, but actually, there's a couple. First of all, there's a couple things I wanted to do with this podcast. But number one is, first of all, just so everyone could meet the wife. She actually really exists. She's a real person. But most importantly, Angela's. I think, and I don't know if she feels this way, but I think she's really supportive of like all of my gaming craziness and all the retro consoles that I have right here in the office and everything like that. So I thought it'd be kind of, how do you make this work when one person in your household doesn't really play video games and the other person might. So that's the idea. That's why I'm asking you on the podcast, Angela. Okay. Okay, great. Let's start with your game. When did you first play? Like, what are your first memories of video games?
I know I was in elementary school pretty young. My brother and I got a Nintendo from Santa Claus.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Was it just like a Christmas gift, or was it like...
That was like the big Christmas gift.
Gotcha,
that was like the big thing.
Nice. Do you remember like what games you might have had early on?
I'm pretty sure the first game that we had was Mario Brothers.
Okay, of course.
So, of course, that one we played a lot. And I might have come with Duck Hunt, which I like too. Because I like to shoot things.
On the original Nintendo, a lot of the first games had both of them on the same cartridge.
Okay, so I'm sure that's how it came. I'm sure that's how we had both.
Were you any good at shooting ducks?
I mean, I guess.
Was your dad at all into shooting ducks too?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. Well, that's good. Okay, so you're like a lot of people our age. Like, we had Nintendo was like the thing, right?
Yeah, we had like a few games. I don't remember playing for too long. I know my brother played much more than I did, obviously.
Was there at some point, did you like grow out of gaming or just lost interest in it?
I guess I just lost interest.
Okay.
We played like that. Well, I don't know what the game was called, but like maybe like Skate or Die. Or
oh yeah, there was Skate or Die.
720 Skate. I don't know. It was something like that. I know it was like skateboarding.
And that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Nice, cool. Did you have a skateboard?
Like a real one?
Yeah, like did you skate?
No.
I'm trying to think if you imagine you as like a skater person.
No, I was like a roller skate kind of girl.
Got it. Okay. Not so much the skateboarding. I gotcha. I hear you. Okay. Cool. So there's a couple things. First of all, when we started dating in 2010.
Yes.
And okay, pop quiz.
Do you know?
I know. When did we get married?
2013.
Okay, and when we got married, did I own any video game console at all?
Not that I know. You might have owned it, but I never saw you play it.
That's right. Didn't we give one away? Like, we donated one. Didn't I have like an old one that I ended up donating at some point?
I don't know. We had Wii because you wanted to play Wii. I had Wii. I personally had Wii.
Angela brought Wii to the marriage, which
I did.
If you want to impress your significant other, bring a Wii to the marriage.
I didn't even play it.
Really?
But for some reason, I really wanted Wii at some point.
Okay.
I think while we were together, no?
Yeah, that was like one of the first dates we did was Wii. Do you remember?
At my house?
Yeah, I went over to your house, and Angela was living with her parents at the time, but they had a huge TV on this wall, so it was like perfect setup for...
We played Wii bowling or something.
Yeah, you remember. Hey, look at that. Going down memory lane here. No, that's good. Okay, cool. So, and her Wii is right there, right in front of us right now.
Oh, that's mine, huh?
How does it know that Wii lives on?
What? How does it know?
How does it know? How does it feel? I should ask the right words. In my head, it made sense.
I don't think it knows.
No, you don't think it knows.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Have you played that Wii ever since our Wii bowling? I can tell you, not that I know of.
I don't think so.
I guess one of the things to point out here is that like wasn't into gaming that much. Maybe I played on my phone or something, but I didn't have any consoles when we got married or all through our dating or anything like that. So getting the retro bug and the nostalgia and stuff like that kind of started happening later on in life here. What did you think when I started gathering some of these old consoles and asking my parents for, hey, what do you have at the house and all that kind of crazy?
I saw you were bored.
That's probably true.
I don't don't know. At first, I didn't really think that much of it until you stopped hanging out with me and you confined yourself to another room.
I did not plug any of the consoles into our normal TV.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they were always in a different room. And I think the biggest tip-off was when you bought those stupid big TVs.
Oh, yeah.
How many of those did we have to buy?
Well, so people who watch this will understand. Like, okay, so she's talking about the Sony PVMs. I bought a CRT, but I didn't have the PVM first. I was at my uncle's or at my grandma's house. Remember the first one I got was that one my dad had with the VHS attached to it? Yeah. So I wanted to play on CRT because I didn't have any sort of scaling devices or anything. So if I wanted to get that lagless experience, you have to have an old TV. If you plug like that Nintendo like just directly into a modern TV, like when you press the button, Mario will jump like just a few moments later. It's not perfectly synced. Okay. But with the old TVs, you can do that. So that's why I started. But I kept upgrading, and so I would trade one. I had a 9-inch PVM, and then I would trade it for a larger one, and so it became a whole thing. One so I could afford the next one. But that's. We had
to drive to like 45 minutes to go pick up a TV one time.
That's right. We drove all to Orange County. That's right.
Ridiculous.
It was that's the joys of being a retro game person, that's how you have those things. But I here's the thing. I appreciated that you were down for the cause to go drive and get some of these things, or at least you did. You at least seemed like you were down for the cause. Were you actually?
What choice did I have?
You haven't even played on any of those TVs, have you?
No. Why? No, you have one in the garage. You should really get rid of it.
No. Oh my. Do you know that we could sell that thing for a couple $100?
Who cares?
I have a 20-inch PVM in the. Who cares? Well, I mean, we're in quarantine.
Great, we can sell it.
I'm just saying, that was a time to kill. Okay, cool. Well, when when I first applied to a game, I started streaming and I had started like trying to record my gameplay as I was speedrunning and stuff like that. When I first got into my first marathon, did it seem like it was crazy? Did it understand? Like, I was curious what, from your point of view.
I guess I didn't really understand. When was your first one?
My first one was that one that I retrothon where I woke up at like 3 a.m. to do it.
I don't remember that.
You probably might have slept through that one. Games Done Quick would have been the very, like, right after.
Yeah, I remember that one, obviously, because you had to fly there and you were gone. And I got up and I watched it.
Angela was here in California. It must have been like 6 a.m., right?
Yeah, that's not that early.
Which she's awake anyway at that time. But I don't know, when you saw something like Games Done Quick and you can kind of start to gather the how big the community is. Any thoughts that like, hey, this is crazy or this is great?
I think the coolest thing about it is the charity aspect of it. Obviously, like that's something that reflects your whole being. So I felt like that was a really cool aspect that I didn't know existed, I guess, with gaming at all.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really cool. But other than that, you're in this room a lot doing that.
Okay. So I thought this would here are how about some tips or maybe some how to stay, if you're married, stay married and play gaming at the same time. What are some of the things that aren't so bad?
Well, I think early on we had some of those conversations.
Totally.
The big thing would be like to make sure that if you have a limited amount of time to spend with your significant other, that you use the time that you're together and the time that you're apart, use that time to isolate yourself in a room talking to your computers.
There's a community out there.
I totally get that. And that's awesome.
Right.
But I mean, like,
real life, professional, all that kind of stuff, career,
you
relationships.
You have to find time,
yeah.
for everything, and everything has a certain amount of time to.
I think something you mentioned that's pretty important too is that talk about it. Like, don't just go down a path and don't just expect things to be okay, right?
I mean, I feel like you and I have a open relationship in terms of like being able to communicate openly and honestly.
Sometimes too honestly.
And so when I felt like it was infringing on time that we could have been spending together, right. Then I just let you know, like, hey, you might want to be thinking about this, like every time I'm home, like maybe wait till I go to sleep, or while I'm at work.
And that's kind of when I feel like I know I don't stream for a set schedule, but that's kind of where I felt like I found, hey, you know what? Wait until we've finished dinner, everything's been cleaned, So that's why I stream so late, is because we have you work during the day, and right now it's going to school during the day. Right now it's actually just doing everything during the day because it's quarantine. But then do real life stuff, and then devote some time to game. That's actually a theme. Other guests I've had who have kids and stuff like that, they talk about that same thing. They wait for the kids to go to bed before they play. I think that's some really helpful advice. It's a small thing.
For sure.
So have you ever watched my stream?
Your stream?
My personal stream. Have you ever seen my personal stream?
Nope.
I know the answer to this, but no, actually not. What do you think happens when I'm streaming?
You yell a lot because I can hear that in the other room. So I'm guessing you're dying a lot.
I do. I'm not very good at the game. So this is how I learn and stuff like that.
I don't know. I guess that's what you do. I know you're talking to people, you're answering people, you're having a good time. That's obvious when when you're doing marathons and things. I don't know. What else am I supposed to say?
No, I'm just curious what it's like. I'm just wondering, it's like to be in your perspective, sitting there, finishing up your day and everything like that. Maybe relaxing on the couch, and you hear yelling coming from the office area. I guess we're in a fortunate setup that the office is kind of far away from the living room.
Yeah, so. That's pretty nice. But it hasn't always been that way. I mean, I guess when we lived with your parents, it was in a separate room as well.
Yeah.
And you pretty much shut the door.
But I still had to be quiet because that room was like right next to
yeah, that's true.
Trying to relax, so I don't know.
But then on the flip side, I have to be quiet as well. Like if I want to do laundry or dishes or something like that, I have to be aware, like, oh, is he streaming right now? Like, should I not wash the dishes? Should I not do laundry?
That's another thing, though, that I really appreciate, that if you are awake and you're doing things like that, you're considerate of what I do. And I don't even know if I didn't have to ask Angela to do anything, but it's something to talk about. Like, hey, can you to come to a compromise,
Well, thankfully, we don't have any kids who would barge in here. We do have a dog that
barges in all the time. He used to sleep. Actually, sometimes he does sleep right here, but
not that often anymore.
Not too often. Is there any game you'd be willing to play nowadays?
I don't know.
Do you know any games?
No.
Do you do your students, so Angela's a teacher, do your students play games or talk about games at all?
Yeah, okay, so we had a live stream with my my color guard team.
Yeah.
And they're all like talking about Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, they
were like super into it, something about like open your gates, and I don't know anything about this, but I mean
it's like a whole nother world inside of a game. You could play Animal Crossing. We could get Animal Crossing if you want to play.
No.
You have your own account on the Switch.
Why?
In case you ever wanted to play the Switch.
Well, that's very sweet. No, thank you.
Angela even has her own little avatar. I created an avatar for Angela, but she has not had any interest, I guess, really.
I guess. I mean, I have other interests.
One of the things that I really appreciate, and I think that's really important. So if you want to do like public events and marathons and things like that, for me, the whole drive to do those things has been the charity aspect. And Angela's big on charity as well. Like, it's important to us to support charitable causes and things like that. And I think that's another avenue that you could talk with your significant other about how your support. Like, I mean, think about it. If for those of you who have ever watched Games Done Quick, you've helped participate and helped fundraise millions of dollars for really great causes.
I feel like maybe that's why I'm so tolerant.
Because there's a good cause attached to it.
There's so much like good that can come from it. So who am I to say like, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that.
They get in the way of it.
Yeah. So like that's like a very redeeming quality for me and you doing this all the time.
Okay, here's a question: how long do you think I'll be doing speedrunning and stuff?
I don't know, because usually you like get into something and then you kind of like out of it within a few years. But I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of crap in here. I feel like this might be here to stay.
Yeah, geez. Okay. I'm always curious too, like how long speedrunning will be around. Like it seems like to me, like sometimes video games go in like fads. Like sometimes this is popular and that is popular. So I'm curious if speedrunning will even be around, 10 years from now or whatever.
Well, it depends if we ever get out of quarantine.
Yeah, speedrunning may become the new great thing that everyone wants to do. So, can I ask you about the quarantine a little bit? Because part of what I thought that would be fun with this episode too is just to document this time period. It's kind of an unprecedented time. If you're anybody, I mean, we've never really experienced. This is like weirder than 9/11. How has quarantine been for you?
For me personally,
yeah,
this is a lot of grief. It's super challenging to teach like virtually, especially something that is mostly done in person. So I'm a dance teacher, and that's been a little bit of a challenge. Just working out how do you do virtual auditions for dance teams and those kinds of things, planning things, because you want to like celebrate our seniors who I've had for some of them for 4 years,
Feel
and
bad for them.
that's hard, you know, and not getting to I don't know how much you share about who I am and what I do, but
They know you're a teacher, so
you know, just having like big, humongous competitions
Right.
to take my teams to that have been, you know, canceled for the whole year after you put in all this time. The kids put in so much time, you put in so much time. So that's where I say I'm grieving a little bit. But honestly, like, I feel so fortunate. You know, I'm still getting paid. We are able to like maintain everything that we're doing from a financial aspect, and our family members have been very lucky and very safe. So I feel like I really have nothing to complain about in comparison to maybe other people.
But your day to day has been completely changed, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good, just something to kind of remember and to recollect upon when we finally get past through this thing. I'm curious if more people are playing video games right now because of all the extra time and stuff like that. I kind of get the feeling like they might
I would
be.
assume so. My brother went out and bought a Switch. I mean,
He doesn't own any video. He hadn't owned a video game console, had he?
I bet you he has my old Nintendo. Or he had Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64 or something.
Why? We were looking for your Super Nintendo.
I swear he had all those. So I'm sure, like, he would probably, I don't know.
Right, who knows, right? He probably has one
He
somewhere.
bought one,
Yeah.
in this time where he needed something to do. So
I can't wait if your parents actually end up buying a video game.
Yeah.
That's when I'll know this is here to last.
That would be my dad, probably.
Really? Yeah, exactly. No, and I couldn't agree with you more. Like, of all the things that could happen, it's fortunate that we have a place to live and everything like that, and food and things like that other people are.
Yeah,
not
I
as
mean,
fortunate.
I think like just how lucky we are. We're not in an epicenter of some terrible parts like other people are having.
Like
to
New York.
deal
I mean,
with.
just look at all the
Yeah.
craziness that happened in New York. So.
Even my friends that live in Seattle, you know, who had it first, and kind of, I know people who've had it, and fortunately, most of them have come through. You know, some friends and relatives of other people we know that may have not been so fortunate. So honestly, like, I just feel very lucky. There's nothing more that you could say about it.
Completely agree. Very thankful. I'm totally just like, of all the things, it's weird to say thankful in a time like this, but really am. It's been fun because, you know, for those of you that don't know, the last over a year I've been working from home. I just started grad school a couple of weeks ago, and you know, I have a routine here at home. I have a setup. I know what I'm doing, that kind of stuff. You work from 6 a.m. to 9 at night all the time with all the teams and everything like that. So to be home so much, and we haven't punched each other in the face yet. Like, I mean, this is we're coming out of the. I mean, it's been interesting, right? Like having to be with each other all the time.
Yeah, I think I noticed. Oh, I told you that I noticed like your schedule is different when I'm home.
Yes.
And so I encourage you to continue to keep your regular schedule, even though I may be home.
I think we're doing better about finding the groove too. Like, hey, you know what? We're going to set these times to work, and you know, Angela has a little setup. She has a desk over here, but her desk is like this big in the office, and I feel so bad.
Well, also you're working in here and you're loud.
I know I'm yelling, and I got the volume blasting and everything like that.
Yeah, so I set up in the dining room.
Yeah, but at least we have some. Once again, thankful and fortunate that we have a space.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, we are so fortunate. You know, my kids that are having to send in videos and do assignments. That way, you know, they don't have a lot of space. And sometimes, you know, they'll say like, well, I can't get access to a computer at that time or something. So it's important to give them a little bit of leeway and understand that we're all kind of in this unknown space.
I'll start to wrap this up a little bit. Angela loves talking on the microphone. Big fan, right?
Oh, super.
The future. What do you think, as far as like the world goes? Do you think that things will at some point go back to normal, or what we used to be normal, or is there going to be a little different going away? Any thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like at least for the next few years, I think it could look very different. You know, obviously I'm hoping that we're going to recover, and of course, like, you know, we have fantastic scientists and things and people working on vaccines and things like that. So I think at some point maybe things will be more normal than they are right now.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kind of unknowns, and I don't really think that anybody has that answer right now.
that doesn't seem like it, right? I'm trying to think about what the future would look like too, and I gotta be honest. When this whole thing started, I was like, oh man, I think okay, we'll put the world on pause. We'll be paused for a few weeks or a month or whatever, and it'll just be right back to it. But that's not going to be easy to do, with the economics and economies and all that kind of stuff, the world coming back together. So
yeah, I definitely thought that way too. Like maybe not like right away, but I thought, okay, by June, July, things would be back to normal, and it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case. And so you just have to learn to adjust. And how do you make things memorable for students or in your own life?
Yeah.
And enjoy the people that you have that are with you. And
for us in gaming, Games Done Quick, the summer one got posted. They've already rescheduled it, but for October. And as you know, October is a challenging month for both you and I, where every single day we have some sort of work or something in October. I'm wondering if even events like video gaming events will look the same. I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to have gatherings of more than 10 or 50 people anytime soon. So I'm wondering if we might see it for a while, for a few months, just nothing,
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility, for sure, until they find, some sort of vaccine or better ways of keeping it contained, at bay without us having to be at home.
Right. So, exactly.
I think that's definitely something to think about, but hopefully people will continue to donate to the great causes that Games Done Quick offers.
They just raised $400,000 this weekend. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I know, which is insane. I never thought in a million years they would have raised that much. So it's nice that people who can donate are doing that and supporting those who really are troubled by this whole thing, who are losing relatives and family members and things like that. So very cool. I don't know. I'm trying to think. What do you think of the podcast? Have you listened to the podcast yet?
Nope.
What would it take for Angela to watch a stream that I did?
I mean, there would have to be a reason.
Yeah.
And that would have to kind of benefit me in some way.
Oh, there's no more perfect Angela answer than that.
Sorry.
No, I love it. It's totally true. It's some of us are in relationships with people who game and stuff. Some of us are not. So it's nice to see the other side of this.
But I support you.
You do. You kick ass. That's why I really wanted to invite you on, because I mentioned it at the top, and I totally am not BSing here. I really feel like Angela's supportive of all this craziness that I've done with the video gaming. So I appreciate it.
Well, I think for anybody out there who isn't maybe into the gaming thing, you could still be supportive and help your significant other out by giving them time and encouraging them to do those things, and just let them be who they are, and not, I guess, I don't know,
not some asshole who's just not you. Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to the podcast and talk to everyone.
Well, I don't know if this is interesting to anyone
I know.
but you, but I hope people enjoy it.
Nobody may not ever listen to this at this point, so for all we know. Thankfully, it's not too long. It's not going to take too much of your time. So anyway, thanks, Angela. I appreciate it, and you did good.
Okay, thanks.
Now we get to press stop recording. This is it.
Okay,
We're going to do it. Here we go. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching. If you're enjoying the podcast, subscribe, leave a review. All those things go a long way to helping out the podcast. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'm on Twitter @LatMackey, or you can also join the LatMackey Discord, where we have a sequence break channel. We talk about guests. We have questions. It's really interactive, really fun. Please feel free to stop on by. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.